Well, today, President Biden met with NATO's Secretary General, the two leaders discussing the upcoming NATO summit in Spain and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian forces are in control now of 20% of territory in the battered country, just shy of 100 days since that war started. NewsNation On Balance anchor Leland Vittert joining us now. And Leland, Ukrainian President Zelenskyy says the Donbas region is, quote, almost entirely destroyed at this point.
Well, exactly, Nichole. And the tactics and the methods that the Russians have used here in the eastern part of the country are very different than what they used in Kyiv or farther out here into the west, Lviv and some of these other cities. Even Kharkiv, the Russians didn't totally level. The cities here, Donetsk, Luhansk, Mariupol, especially Kherson here, the Russians have reduced to rubble. That's very different. Keep in mind, you said that we're 100 days into the war. We're 100 days into this part of the war. I remember being in Donetsk in 2014 when the first Russian invasion began and the tanks came across the Russian border here. There's been skirmishes and a very sort of lukewarm war going on along a number of these lines since then. Key thing to keep in mind here is that the supply lines for all of these NATO weapons that continue to pour in into Kyiv, then south down to Odessa, and particularly out here into the eastern part of Ukraine to resupply the Ukrainians are working, but they're long. We're talking here about 10 or 12 hours, the distance from, say, Chicago to Memphis to move goods, and you can't do it by air. The Russians just have a couple of miles to come across here, 20, 30 miles here, and obviously they've got their ports in Crimea to move up. So when we zoom in, you see how the Russians really now have the advantage in the eastern part of Ukraine. They've taken land here. We'll get the maps to start drawing again. That gives them a chance to move here, take down Donetsk. There's a large Ukrainian operation, rear operation supply depots and the like that have been built in here. Obviously, the Russians would like to close this. Clear now, very much so, that the Russians have decided that taking the eastern part of the country is their main goal. If they're able to move on Kramatorsk and start to close in here, they own a lot of this ground. It's open farmland, much easier for them to move and shoot. The advantages the Russians have in numbers work a whole lot better in the east than it ever did in Kyiv and the like. We're hearing now about these new U.S. weapon systems that are coming. These are mobile rocket launchers, and they launch smart rockets, meaning that they can be directed versus a lot of the weapons you see the Russians using. And that's what's so key here, Nichole, is because you're talking about just 20 or 30 miles from where the Ukrainian front lines are into Russia. A big part of the decision to send these rockets, these U.S. weapon systems, to Ukraine, Nichole, was promises by the Ukrainians that they wouldn't use U.S. weapons to shoot into Russia.
Yeah, Russia's certainly not happy with that new U.S. help. All right, Leland, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.